Hello, thank you. My name is Cynthia Gifford. I'm an attorney in Rhode Island. I've been practicing for over 30 years. I'm here to speak in favor of Bill 38. Before coming, I prepared testimony. It was written down, and I think it will be provided to you. And of course, it addressed many of the issues that have been discussed here tonight and will continue to be discussed. And of course, there are all the issues that are very dear to us as attorneys: justice, as a family court attorney, protections for all families in Rhode Island, as a former member of a school committee for 10 years, concern about education and having our students have full opportunities and full information. And I was prepared to testify about all those things. And when I got here, I received an email which contained the testimony of my son, who is somewhere on your list and is seated over there. And his email included his concern about me and my happiness and my ability to marry. And it simply woke me up to what I really hold as the most precious right that I have in this state, and that's to my family. And I think it's similar to all of us here. We love our families. I love my two sons. And I really had considered that my cup was pretty full. And I want to thank you because really this hearing and this bill has inspired me to realize that I do want more. I would like to be able to marry the woman I love. I think it's important for people like myself to have full expression of who they are. And I don't think I would have gotten that if I hadn't come here tonight. And I really appreciate your providing this hearing. And if I have any extra time, I yield it to my son, who is an extremely articulate guy. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Yaden, if you can, I think your son's over on the...
absolutely.
If your son wants to come sit next to you, and he can make his presentation if he wants. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Senator, Chairman, and members of the committee. I was not expecting to be up here this soon. I'm here for a number of reasons. I'm not here for the environmental reasons that I'm usually here for. I'm here on behalf of my mom, who, of course, I love as every son loves his mother. I'm here on behalf of my friends and other members of my family who are gay or lesbian and who are discriminated against by current law. I think just for those personal reasons, I would advocate for this Senate Bill 38 to be passed and to get out of this committee and put it to a vote. But I think beyond that, there's an elemental reason why this bill should be passed, and I think that has to do with the separation of church and state. And I'm sure it's been brought up here many times before tonight, but I haven't been here to hear it. I've been elsewhere. I'm also, farther back in the lineage from my mom. I'm related to Roger Williams, and he came here and he founded this state on the principle. One of the principles he founded on was separation of church and state, and I think current law enshrines the views of one or a few particular religions. I myself am a member of two faith communities, the Quakers and the Unitarian Universalists, who have both endorsed same-sex religion. I feel very certain that I am discriminated against in my religious views based upon current law. So I think, aside from the very personal reasons that I think everybody deserves the same respect and everybody's love is equal to everyone else's, I think this is a constitutional question, and to really hold true to that belief of the separation of church and state, that we need to enact marriage equality. And I thank you all for listening to me and my mother, and I hope you'll pass this bill.
Are there any questions or comments for either one of these two witnesses?
Oh, I should tell you all my name. I'm Abel Gifford Collins. I live in Matunic, Rhode Island, 176 Sycamore Lane. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Lise Iwon. Good evening and welcome, Lise.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for having this hearing, and thank you for taking this time and for all your hard work. I've been a lawyer in the state of Rhode Island for 30 years. I lived and practiced law and loved my partner of 32 years, who's in this picture, Margaret Agnes Lawrence, who passed away suddenly, unexpectedly, a year ago in March. We met in law school. I was a first-year student and she was a second-year student. And when we met, it was love at first sight. We met in 1980, and that was the year Ronald Reagan was elected. As a matter of fact, Senator Jabor was in Peg's class, and he would do exactly what he's been doing a lot of tonight, and he also always wore a scarf all the time in law school, too. He hasn't changed much. But in 1980, when my first year of law school, Ronald Reagan was elected, and the first thing he did was really decimate legal services across the country. And Peg and I both wanted to be legal services lawyers, and in fact, we both interviewed with Jim Hardy and Diane Kern of Rhode Island Legal Services and didn't get the job. And so we were forced to hang out our shingle in South County and practice law. Peg was an excellent businesswoman. This was her third career, and we decided we were both committed to improving the lives of our community and the people around us. We both wanted to do work that helped our communities. So Peg did real estate work, and she earned the money for the law firm. I always said that. She earned the money for the law firm, and I spent it. You know, baseball's been very, very good to me. But Peg did more affordable housing work than any other lawyer in the state of Rhode Island. And she urged me to do pro bono work. And in fact, the bulk of my work, over 50% of my work, mostly it was usually around 75% of my work was pro bono work. And in fact, Peg and I won every award you can win from the Rhode Island Bar Association for pro bono work. I also am the only single lawyer, because law firms usually win this, I'm the only single lawyer in New England who's won an ABA Pro Bono Publico Award. Usually law firms compete for this because it's very prestigious. And the only way that I could do that was because of our partnership and our teamwork. We also served on too many boards for me to talk about in my 3 minutes. But when Peg died last March, for a month, Habitat for Humanity had a huge sign on their property honoring Peg, as did Welcome House and too many other organizations to mention. Peg and I adored each other. Many of our friends would say to us, I envy your relationship. I envy your intimacy. I envy what you have with each other, and I really miss it. We had a rule that we had to laugh out loud 3 times before we got out of bed in the morning. My 3 minutes is up? We bought a big house in Matunic so all of our nieces and nephews could come and spend. I can't even tell you how many pony pool parties we had, plenty of them. At this past Christmas, which was my 33rd Christmas without Peg, well, my first Christmas without Peg, I remembered something that she said to me one year when I gave her a book in her stocking. I wrapped it up and it was called Learn How to Relax. And she opened it up and she said, did you give yourself a book called Learn How to Make Money? But we loved each other, we took good care of each other, and we got married in 2007 because we could, and we wanted to honor our relationship. And Senator Nesselbush performed that ceremony, and she said at that ceremony that the love in the room was palpable, that you could feel it. Peg was, and I am, a passionate advocate for fairness. And there are many people leaving the state of Rhode Island because of discrimination. I urge you to look back on your career. Look back on your career and say, in 2013, I voted for marriage equality. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions or comments? Senator Nesselbush.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Lise. I just can't possibly say enough about the impact that you and Peg have had on our entire Rhode Island community. And while I was privileged and honored to perform your marriage ceremony, and while what you say is absolutely true, that the love in the room took my breath away, I am so sorry that we had to go just over the border into Massachusetts to do that. And while it's too late for me to ever redo that for you and Peg here in Rhode Island, I hope and pray that I will be able to do that for other couples. Thank you for your testimony tonight.